Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It is Sunday evening, and I am just wanting to check in and do a few housekeeping items to make sure that everyone can hear me. All right, so if you can hear me, go ahead and confirm in the chat. All right, so I just want to make sure that we are good to go here. Once I get a confirmation that everyone can hear me properly, we will go ahead and move forward with the presentation. I want to be respectful of everyone's time this evening. I'm very appreciative for you joining me. And I just want to make sure that I make the most of our time this evening. All right. Okay. All right, everyone. Go ahead, if you can hear me, please confirm in the chat with a yes. All right, good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, please go ahead and type yes in the chat box. I want to make sure that my audio is good. And then to make the most of your time this evening, I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the presentation because I want to be very respectful of your time. So please type yes in the chat if you can hear me. Just a few housekeeping items, and then we will proceed with the presentation. All right. All right, everyone. So can you hear me? Let's go ahead and confirm that you can hear my audio, and then we will go ahead and get started. I don't want to start talking more than what I have if you are unable to hear me. So just let's get a confirmation. All righty. All right, everyone, I am going to go ahead and get started. I do want to pop back in and see if anyone did confirm. Remember, if you can hear me, go ahead and type yes in the chat box, and that would be wonderful. And what I will do is I will pop back on after the presentation so you can see my face and we can handle your questions face to face. So that way you have a more personal touch when we start, or when I start answering your questions. So I'm going to give it another minute as more people are jumping on. And then I will go ahead and begin with the presentation. I hope everyone has had a great weekend. I do appreciate you joining me this Sunday evening before another busy week begins. Okay. All right, everyone. I am going to go ahead and get started. I've actually really been looking forward to this all day long. I've really been looking forward to getting in front of my people and just learning more about what you need from me and sharing more information about real estate transaction coordinating and help some of you decide whether this could be a possible next step for you. So, alrighty. So do I have a confirmation here? Alrighty. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started because I do want to be respectful of your time and I do appreciate you joining me again today. If you don't mind, go ahead in the chat box, go ahead and type in what state you are from. I'm just curious who we have here joining me this evening from across the country. I would just love to know, just curious. So just take a quick second in the chat box and type in what state you are from. Okay, great. And then as those notes or those answers begin to flow in, I am going to go ahead and get started. All righty. So we just took care of this housekeeping items, making sure that you can hear me, and would love to know where you're from. So that way I can just see where everyone is joining me from this evening. Okay, get comfortable and settle in if you want to build a viable business, if you want to build your work around your life, not your life around your work. I know many times we are in positions where we really wish that we could, spend more time with the very important people in our lives, whether that's family, kids, our dogs, our animals, whoever is important or whatever is important to you. I know that there are times and moments in our lives where it seems like we're spending more time with work than the people and things that are most important to us. And that is a component that I have found in this business. And it's one of the reasons why I'm especially excited to share it with you. You want to have those can't miss moments, right? So I know there are times in the past, if you think about it, where you have had to decline an invitation to something, or you couldn't maybe meet a special someone for lunch, or maybe travel across the country to go see grandma for that 80th birthday party or what have you, because of your work commitments and the restraints of your work commitments. And so again, flexibility is a very important component that this business offers you. So if those things sound great, stay tuned, get comfortable, and we're going to go ahead and move on. So do you dread going into work? I know a lot of people, they live for Fridays, and then Sundays, they are dreading it. They're dreading going back into work. And you are not alone, unfortunately. So Gallup poll, they did a poll and reported that 70% of Americans are dreading going into work every morning. And actually, the poll didn't use the word dread. It actually used the word hate. And that's a word that I try not to use often or never, um, because it's such a negative mindset word, right? But that poll, that's the word that they use. 70% of Americans hate going into work. And, you may not hate your situation. You may actually be in a situation where you're okay. If you were there for the next 10 years, you could probably say to yourself, you know what, it's not bad. It's not ideal, but it's not a horrible situation. And some of you are just, dying to find something new. And you really do fall into that category of dreading going into work. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? You want more time with the important people in your life. You want flexibility, and you want to be a part of work that matters. And again, working in real estate as a transaction coordinator, you really are a part of work that matters. You are helping first-time home buyers. You may be helping a senior couple who they need to downgrade in their home because they need something that's maybe smaller or a single level. And you know what? This is life. And so sometimes, you may be a part of a transaction where it's a couple who maybe deciding to go their separate ways. But there are all types of scenarios of why someone wants to buy a home and why someone wants to sell a home. And in somewhat of an indirect way, you are a part of that. And it's a really big part of these people's lives. And you are behind the scenes making sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and everything is taken care of. And so I know I love knowing that. That gives me comfort knowing that I am serving others in that way. One of my favorite quotes is, though no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. So don't get into that mindset of, oh, you know what, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 30, I'm 20, whatever your age is. Don't think that it's too late for you to start a new career or start a business. It's never too late. And every day that goes on without you taking action is another day that you could, begin living the life that really allows you to, spend time with the people in your life who are important to you and really go after your dreams. So, what is required to succeed in starting or growing your own virtual real estate transaction coordinator business? Is it luck? Nope. And actually, luck is another word that I don't use. It's kind of like the word hate. I don't quite use that word. So starting this business and succeeding in it has nothing to do with luck. Do you have to have a high IQ? That's nice, but not necessarily. You don't have to be the top of the charts. Do you have to have an MBA degree? Nope. A perfect home office setup? I know some of you are thinking that. You're already thinking, well, if I were to start this business from home, like where would I even run it from? Where would I have my setup where I could have, quiet or what have you? It does not have to be perfect. In my resources, I have tips and tools on how to set up your office no matter what size space you're dealing with. And then finally, this is the big one. Do you have to have real estate experience? And again, the answer is no. And that's the big one. I know some of you may be wondering, well, I know for sure that I have to, have experience in real estate to start this business. And I promised you, you don't. So I've been in this business for multiple years. And at one point I did think about getting licensed because I was going to use it as a negotiating tool to increase my rate with my realtor clients. And it's definitely something that I could have done, but I just decided not to. And there really wasn't a specific reason. I think I'm just kind of, I'm happy with where I am right now because I make it a point to continue learning. So I'm looking for free resources or even paid resources on how to do my job as a real estate transaction coordinator better all the time. And so because, as long as I keep doing that, and as long as learning is important to me, which it always will be, I'm comfortable not moving forward with getting a license. And you never know, one day that may change. So, when the time comes, we will see. So, what is really required to succeed in starting or growing your own virtual real estate TC business? And the answer is, I think some people are shocked by how simple it is, but it's simple, but you do have to be good at these things, right? And can you learn some of these things that I'm about to list off? Absolutely. So, attention to detail. This is especially important because you are dealing with important documents. You are looking over contracts, you're looking over addendums, and depending on what side of the transaction you're on, you need to make sure that everything is correct, not only to take care of and protect your client, who is your realtor, but you're watching out and protecting their clients, who are the buyers or the sellers in that particular transaction. Organization. This is key. So it's important that you have a system to stay organized, especially as you grow. So when I first started, I just had one realtor. And even at that point, it was important for me to build systems and procedures where you or my realtor would be taken care of without me missing a single item that needed to be addressed or executed within escrow. And now I serve 7 realtors, and so it's especially important that I am. I'm sorry, excuse me, 1 second. So it's especially important that I am organized and using my checklists to make sure that all 7 of those realtors are taken care of. Because as you can imagine, having 7 realtor clients and they're all having homes in escrow, it can be a lot. But at this point, I have systems in place. I have scripts that I use. And so it's wonderful to just have a system in place. And actually, everyone, I'm just going to stop really quick. I want to make sure that everyone can see the presentation. So can you all just, or can someone just confirm in the chat that you can see the presentation? Because I want, it's not, what I'm going to do is send the slide deck to you after we're done, but it would be nice if you could just see the slide deck as we're going through. Alrighty, just waiting to see if. All right, everyone. Okay. All right, sorry for the quick little delay, but I'm getting a little bit of feedback that you can't see the presentation. So I do want to see if I can figure that out really quick. Hello. All right. So all right. Okay, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation. I do apologize. I just want to make sure that this is working properly. Okay, all right, we're going to go back to the presentation. All right, so towards the end, everyone will be able to see me. But right now, I want to make sure that you can see the presentation. So I apologize. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Let's move on. Alrighty, integrity. So this is of high importance because you are dealing in a very information sensitive business. And there are times where you are going to have access to very sensitive information from your clients. And it's important that you are at the utmost integrity. And really, having this trait will allow you to retain your realtor clients for years to come. Because when they know that without a shadow of a doubt that they can trust you with their information and they can trust you in taking care of their clients for them while they're out, showing the homes and doing the footwork and more of the visual side of real estate. If they know that you are behind the scenes taking care of everything, trust me, this is an add value, and it's something that's invaluable that will allow you to stay connected and partnered with your realtor clients for years to come. Support and resources. So that's the whole reason why I have created this YouTube channel, my website with I have blogs on the website. I give out free information on my email list. So it's important that you have support and resources. So that way, when you get stuck, or if you run into a situation where you just need some guidance, you will have someone in your corner to guide you. And then finally, a joy in helping others. So like I mentioned earlier, even though this role is behind the scenes, I think it would be nice if you receive joy in helping and serving others in this manner. All right, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. That is a quote from Arthur Ashe. And I think that it is so poignant because, you may not have everything perfectly set up, or you may be thinking in your mind, okay, I need to have this before I can consider starting this business. This has to be in line. And you know what? There's never a perfect time. If this is something that you want to move forward in, you need to start. Okay. And I am more than welcome and more than happy to help you do that, because I really have found this business to be so valuable, so viable, and family friendly. And so start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Okay, just a few things. By the end of this webinar, you will hear my story about how I got started in this business, including quitting an $80,000 a year salary job. Yep, that's right. Learn more about virtual real estate transaction coordinating. And then finally, discern whether this is your next step to building a life on your own terms. As you can tell, I'm enjoying these quotes. So if you don't enjoy quotes, bear with me, or just close your eyes and plug your ears whenever you see a quote pop up on the screen. I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took any excuse. I just love this quote, because we all have the same amount of time in the week. We may not all have the same amount of resources in regards to financially, for example, but when it comes to taking action, if we are intentional about it, and if we have decided that this is something that we're going to do, you can do it. Okay. I want you to block down any, mental barriers that you may have. And it's important that you know that this is something that you can do now. Okay. And then finally, stick with me until the end. We almost are halfway through this hour. And then towards the end, there will be a bonus that I want to share for hanging in there with me now. All righty. Okay, so a bit about me. So my background, my formal background is in higher education. So I have a graduate degree in higher education administration, and I spent about 10 years in the higher education sector. And when I initially started out, you know how it is with your first professional job that I had right out of college. You're gung ho, you're excited, you do whatever they tell you to do, basically, with some limits, but you're just excited to be out in the professional world. And after some time and having some different positions at different universities, I really found myself in a situation where I was not enjoying the work. And I wasn't enjoying like the red tape. Have you ever been in a position at work where you see something that doesn't make sense? You see inconsistencies, you see procedures that are not productive, and you think, well, we could just do this and that would take care of that. Or even if you don't have the answer, you would like to start a conversation with someone in a position who can make that change, but you can't because you feel uncomfortable or you feel because of your position, you're not able to maybe go and speak with that person. That is a tough position to be in. And I found myself having those conversations in multiple positions where I was thinking to myself, this is absolutely ridiculous. These are simple fixes that we can do to make the lives of students better or make the lives of this, person better or, or, you know, just make this system a better process for everyone involved. Okay. So if that's something that you can, relate to, type freedom in the chat box. I hope that's something that you can relate to because I think we've all been there in one way or another. And really stressed at work in a weird way, it made me believe in myself. And so, what I realized is that me being in a position where I couldn't make those changes really made me think, well, what else is there? What are my options outside of this career that I really thought I would be in for the rest of my life? I saw myself as a dean. I saw myself as a future VP in higher education at a university. And so I decided that it was time for me to explore. And that moment really came quicker than I realized, and in a way that was really difficult for me. And at a time when I was in a position where I was making the most that I had ever in my higher education career, I was making $80,000 a year. And it was the most negative, stressful, and sometimes I even use the word evil. I'll be completely honest with you, environment. And that just, if you know me, you know that just wears on my soul. And I thought that it was something that I could stick with. I thought that it was something that I could change if I just stuck with it. And the catalyst was me driving home from choir practice one night, and my chest was tightening. And I remember calling my grandmother, and a side note, in hindsight, I realized I should have pulled over. Okay. And I do realize that because some of you may be thinking you probably put other people's lives in danger. But I was close to the hospital enough to where I went ahead and decided just to drive to the hospital. And I remember telling my grandmother to stay on the phone with me in case I passed out or whatever was happened to me before I got to the hospital. And I remember pulling up into the emergency area, just like getting out of my car. I think I left my purse in there, just trying to get inside so someone could help me. And I thought it was a severe panic attack, which I had never experienced before, but it was something a lot more serious. I had a small blood clot in my lung. And if if any of you have ever dealt with any type of health issues, you know that when your health is affected by your work, you really have an honest conversation with yourself about, Is this worth it? And the moment that I was discharged, my answer was no. And that really was the catalyst for me starting working online as an entrepreneur. So I my next step actually was a virtual assistant. So full disclosure, I didn't jump from higher ed straight into real estate transaction coordinating. I actually was a virtual assistant first. And if you don't know what a virtual assistant is, it's basically like having an administrative assistant, but I did that virtually. So I didn't work in anyone's office. I just assisted people, through my laptop, through my home office. And then I met a realtor client just while out networking, and we got into conversation and started our partnership from there. And I haven't looked back since, because this position as a real estate transaction coordinator really has been a wonderful fit for me, even before I was a mom. Before our family expanded, it was a great fit. And even after a mom, it really has served, my life well. So what is a virtual real estate transaction coordinator? So you may see, I may interchangeably use the words virtual real estate TC and then real estate TC. So the difference is, as you can imagine, so a real estate TC, they may work in an actual brokerage firm. So they may or may not. They could be working virtually, but maybe they don't call themselves virtual. And then obviously a virtual real estate transaction coordinator, they are only working virtually. They never go into their clients' brokerage firms, primarily because their clients probably are not within their borders. So if you hear me use those words, you'll know what I'm talking about. So a virtual real estate TC is a liaison between your client, who is the realtor, and then their clients, as well as the title company and the lenders or anyone else involved within the escrow process. They are making sure that questions get answered, that documents are executed, home warranties are ordered, HOA resale packets are ordered, that type of thing while in escrow. Also making sure that every single document that needs signatures on it is taken care of and submitted to the brokerage at your client's brokerage at the end of the transaction. They serve as quality control, and we talked about how they don't have to be licensed, but some are. And again, I'll mention again, if you are licensed, I do think you should use that as a bargaining tool to increase your rate. And then most importantly, a virtual real estate transaction coordinator is an asset to the realtor because it allows them to go out and do what they do best. Okay. So when you are in this business as a real estate TC, you don't want to be working with a realtor who is selling 2 homes a year. Okay. That's not the point. And another quick note that I'll tell you right now, if you know any realtors and you are curious about this business and maybe curious about whether you should work with them, a quick way to figure them out is ask them if they have ever used a transaction coordinator. And if they don't know what a real estate transaction coordinator is, they are not a potential client. I will say that again. If they don't know what a real estate transaction coordinator is, they are not your potential client, because you want to deal with high octane realtors who are closing, and that can even be a small number, no less than 30 homes a year. Okay. No less than that. You want to be dealing with someone who ideally, is closing 100 a year, but I would say at least 30 or above. Okay. So that's a big hint if you meet a realtor and they don't know what a TC is, because a good realtor, they're good at working with the clients in selling and buying. Most of the times they are not good at the administrative stuff, the paperwork and keeping up with deadlines, that type of thing. So if they have someone like you in their corner taking care of all of that, you are gold to them. Okay. So, yeah, just a little heads up about that. And then I may need a reminder. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm getting really into this, I'm really having fun with you all. If I can have a volunteer remind me at the end of the presentation, what I'm going to do is, if you are on my email list already, I'm going to actually email you the slide deck. So that way you can have access to it. But if I can have a volunteer that will just remind me towards the end to send those slides out, what I'll do is in the morning, I will send those slides out to everyone on my email list. And if you are not on my email list, I will put that in the chat box. Okay. All right. So we're actually going to go ahead and move on here. So remember, no matter what is holding you back, personal limitations, whatever you think it is, we all have the ability to take action. Not later, not tomorrow, not today, but now. Remember that. So we all have the same amount of time. We all have the internet, which is such a powerful tool. That think about your generations back, your ancestors didn't have access to. There is so much that we can do, just even with the power of a little bit of research. And even if you want to do research on your own outside of what the information that I'm providing, I encourage you to do so. Go out and explore. And, I'm here as a resource for you to make sure that I'm answering your questions so you can find out if this is the right thing for you. Be willing to do what no one else is doing so that later you can live like no one else. So, you may have a situation where you don't have a lot of entrepreneur friends in your life, or you may live in a city or a town where, it's unheard of to work online, or you may have neighbors who they don't even know what a computer is. I grew up in a situation like that. So, sometimes it's hard to do something that's against the grain because not everybody understands it. But it's something that I have very much been blessed to have a good mix. I've had people who understand, and they have been very encouraging. And then I've also had people who I tell them what I do, and the next question is literally like, how's the weather? Because they're completely uncomfortable about even trying to fathom what an online entrepreneur is and how in the world can you just work from your laptop. So why are 70% of people unhappy with their work? So if that's you, I'm sorry. Okay. Don't let that be you tomorrow, though. I know you have to go into work, but just be encouraged. So why are 70% of people unhappy with their work? And it's just because they haven't really tapped into their inner strengths. They haven't had a time to, or haven't made time to sit down and do a self-assessment about what they want to do. And this is a business that I think is really ideal to people, number one, who are interested in the real estate industry in general. And maybe you're thinking about doing this as a precursor to eventually becoming a real estate agent. And I think that's also a great idea. So I think this is also a great option for stay-at-home moms and dads. This is a great option for current virtual assistants who are looking to grow their business. And then, the potential of this business is definitely amazing. You can get to the point where through your work as a TC, you build a team of other real estate transaction coordinators who you hire out, or you basically serve as like their manager, and that's more passive income where they are working on your behalf. So, that's down the road, but I do want you to know that, there is potential out there. All right. So it's all about you. I've talked quite a bit. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a sip of some water here, wet my whistle, and I would love to hear any questions that you may have in the chat box. go ahead and type any questions that you may have. And what I'll do is I will go ahead and move on to the next slide. But if you have anything that you want me to talk about, I'll stop. I'll see it there in the chat box. And let me just enter a note here. So I will stop and go back if you do decide to ask any questions. All right. Okay, everyone. Oops, sorry. All right. So remember, it's hard to go against the grain and do something different. It's hard to kick down mental barriers, and sometimes you may even have a little case of imposter syndrome. And if some of you are wondering, what does that even mean? It's basically like a pattern that you have where you doubt your accomplishments. You know that you've done them, but for some reason, you have these moments that are reoccurring where you are doubting yourself. And you also have this like weird fear that you're going to be exposed as a fraud or a fake. And it's completely not true. But this is a real syndrome. This is really something that people deal with. And honestly, it's something that primarily women deal with. So yeah, kick down those mental barriers. Remember, you can do this if this is something that you want to do. All right. You may be thinking, how can I run a business? How can I find clients? And for more information, I definitely suggest that you join my mailing list. So that way you can get subscriber only freebies and resources to answer some of these questions. And then we're going to move on and chat about the bonus. Let's check and see if I have any questions here. All right, you guys are kind of a quiet group. That's okay. I'm enjoying being here with you. I hope that I'm answering some of your questions just as you know what? I'm going to take that as a sign that I'm answering your questions as I go along. Okay, so so what I want to offer you all today is to be founding members of the Real Estate TC Masterclass. And what that means is I basically have a list of all of the courses. And what that would mean is that as a founding member, you would be able to take a look at that list and say, hey, you know what? I need this. If I'm going to start this business, I need a course that tells me how to do this. And each member who is a founding member, which is basically the first 20 people, you will receive a 60-minute strategy session with me. And so, and really everyone's strategy sessions are my favorite because I really get to go deep dive with you and, you know, look in your situation and figure out exactly how I can help you. Okay. So let me go in and take a look for questions. And you know what? I do apologize because I realize your questions are not showing up in my chat. Okay, let me see if I can fix that really quick because that's why I'm here, is to answer your questions. And if that's not working, that's not good. All right. Okay, so so this is a really good question. So how do I find a realtor to approach? So in this situation, what I actually suggest, because I actually didn't know any realtors either, it happened somewhat organically. I was attending a networking meeting and there was a realtor there who was really high functioning, go-getter, really loves what she's doing. And the conversation started organically. But what I suggest is really taking a look at your network. And so that means, you know, if you have an obvious friend who's a realtor, then that's easy. But think about like your family and friends, and if they have contacts who are realtors, or think about your LinkedIn or your Facebook, think about your social media accounts and any contacts who would be realtors. And I would start very easily, or make the conversation very easy in how you approach them. So I would just say, hey, have you ever considered using a real estate transaction coordinator? And just let it be that simple and start the conversation there. And remember what I told you earlier. If they don't know what a TC is, move on, okay? Because it's not, you'll get into a situation where you're trying to, not, it's not like a battle, but you're trying to educate them. And that's not the point of this. You need to be with someone who they know what a TC is, and they would love the idea of you possibly working with you. And what I also suggest is telling them that you would do a trial run. Okay. So say, hey, you know what? Let's work on one transaction together. And then let's have a conversation after that transaction is over and decide how we're going to move forward. So thank you so much for that question. That's exactly how I would handle that. And then the second question is, how quickly did you get to the number of agents that I work with today? That's another quick question, or great question. So it took 4 years to get to 7. And I say that with the caveat that I wasn't hustling probably as much as I could have to get to 7. So at one point, I was out there really using like my LinkedIn. I was contacting friends saying, hey, do you have any realtor friends? And then what I would do is reach out to them. And then another special touch that you can do is when you do have a conversation with someone, and if you like them, make sure you send them a follow-up note, whether that's email or snail mail. I love thank you notes in the mail, and so do other people, because a lot of people don't do that anymore. So there was a point where I was reaching out to people within the Western region and seeing if they needed assistance. So 7 realtors took me 4 years. And again, I probably could have had them earlier if I would have been hustling a little bit more to get them. So Yvonne, I totally get that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's great not to feel alone. Yvonne said that she left, basically corporate because she would get, panic attacks on Sundays. And oh, sister, I feel you. I was that person. And what I would do was every morning I would go to Starbucks. Like, I think I didn't drink water for like 2 years. I had like Starbucks in my system. That's all I did. I would go to Starbucks and like drive so slowly to the office. On my lunch break, I would drive to a nearby park. I mean, I was just doing anything to escape. Oh, and then what I would do, because I was in a leadership position, I would stay afterwards after, everyone went home, because that was the only time that I could have some peace. So I totally get it. Those panic attacks on Sundays, we shouldn't be in a position like that. I giggle because I get it. But our health is so important, and there are so many options out there. That doesn't have to be our lives, right? We don't have to live like that. So thank you so much for sharing. I completely understand. All right. So what I'm going to do is jump back, and if you have any more questions, please continue them. I'm really enjoying just hearing from you. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So thank you, Yvonne. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. So having community, right? So have you ever heard, how many of you can finish the quote? You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So being in a community of like-minded people, or just people who are interested in the same thing, it really gives you the support that you need. Because like I said earlier, not all of us are in a position where we have people in our lives that understand what we're trying to do. And sometimes it can be discouraging if you stay in that. So it's really important to seek support. I'm here. I'm here for you. I really am. So let's talk a little bit about what is included in the Virtual Real Estate TC Master Course. It's strategies to secure a TC relationship with a high producing realtor, which we shared some right here. Tools that you'll need to get started, step-by-step workflow, overview of a typical transaction, ways on how to become invaluable to your realtor, negotiation tactics, checklists, so that way you can just, hit the ground running and you can just change them to suit your needs better. But the course, aside from education, the course includes downloads. So that way you can just print them or save them as PDFs. Software options, creating workflow and procedures, how to charge, and then also scripts, plus much more. And remember, what I'm offering the first 20 people who would be considered the founding members, you would be in a position where you would look at the list, the complete list, because this isn't quite exhaustive, and you would say, you know what, I need this, I need something else. And then I would basically create that for you if I didn't already have it. So you may be wondering, how much is this investment in yourself? And the bonus is that as a founding member, you get $100 off. So typically this course, the value is $1,000, but what I offer this course is at $475. But as a founding member, you'll get this course for $375, which is a wonderful price for basically providing you the foundation that you need to be successful in this business. Here I go with quotes. So I took a little break, but I'm back at them. Invest in yourself. Your career is the engine of your wealth. Okay. Invest in yourself. Your career is the engine of your wealth. That is so true. And whether you are your career is, in corporate or whatever, but, really your career is where you make the money that you will retire from or live off retirement one day, right? And so the options are there, and I really do hope that this position or this business in the real estate TC world is something that you're interested in. And oh, hey, Yvonne. She has a meeting with the realtor next week. Wow, that is a big deal. Yvonne, I'm going to ask you a huge favor. I want you to check back in with me. I would love to hear how that goes. So yeah, I will keep you in my thoughts and prayers, and I would love to hear how that meeting goes. So that is extremely exciting. And then what I want to do now is definitely, if you have any questions, please keep them coming. And then what I will do is in the chat box, I'll go ahead and put the links for you to, if you want to move forward in becoming a founding member for the Real Estate TC Masterclass at $375. And then also put the link in there if you want to join my email list. And remember, for everyone who is on my email list, you will receive a copy of the slide deck tomorrow morning. And then if you just want more information on the course, I have that for you as well. So I am going to jump. My screen probably went black because I'm going to jump in here really quick. And all right, can everyone see me? I hope so. This has been really a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy everyone joining me today. And as I put the links in the chat box, I see another question. So the question is, do I have kids? And the answer is yes, I do. So I do have a little one. I have an 8-month-old son. And is it tough being a stay-at-home mama and running a business from home? Absolutely. I'm not even going to try to pretty that up more than what it looks like sometimes. So sometimes it looks pretty rough, but when you're determined to do something, just going back to the intentionality that I spoke of earlier, you make it happen. And at this point in my career or in my business, you know, I have those processes and I have those scripts and checklists and procedures in place. And so it really is just kind of routine for me. Of course, I still give it the attention to detail that it deserves, but you know, I don't have to spend as much time on a transaction that I did, say, in my first year. So now it's definitely something that I can do pretty quickly. It gets to the point where typically escrow is about 30 days. Sometimes it's about 45 days. And at this point, I may spend only about 2 hours on an entire transaction, doing everything I need to do, 2 to 3 hours. And so when you think about that, that's pretty amazing. But when I first started out, of course, I was slower because I wanted to make sure that everything was, you know, extra kosher. So I would love to connect with, okay, I just put some links in the chat box for those 3 items, so that way you can connect. And I'll also put those items in, I'll email them out to my list tomorrow morning. So don't worry if, and I do apologize for the little quirkiness. This is my first time using Google Hangouts on air, and it looked like the share screen, as some of you mentioned, it was black during the beginning. And so I'll send you the slide deck, and it also have ways where you can work with me. And remember, if you're not interested in the TC Masterclass right now, we could also always do a strategy session. Strategy sessions are 137 for 60 minutes of me taking a deep dive into what your life looks like right now and how you can apply your particular situation to this TC business. So going back to, this is my first time using Google Hangouts on air. It may just kick me out at 6. So we're going to find out. But if it does, I am so thankful for your time. I am so thankful for your questions. And I promise to follow up with everything via email to everyone that's on my email list. So remember, if you're not on my email list, do it now. And then if you're not on my subscriber on my YouTube channel, please do that as well, because what I do is when subscribers have questions, I actually answer the questions on my YouTube channel, which I really enjoy doing because it helps others. So I did get a message that you're not able to see my link. So I do apologize for that, everyone, but I'll make sure that you get it. I'll make sure that you get that via email. And I am so thankful for this time that I've had with you today. And I will follow up via email. And let's see if this lets me stay on past 6 o'clock, because when I set up the meeting, I had it end at 6 because I wasn't thinking that it would be this quirky. But hey, your first time you learn, right? So just bear with me. Okay, no, I think, hey, it's 6 o'clock and I don't have a black screen, so I'm assuming that you can see me. Perfect. All right, so let me go here. All right, so let me go here. All right, so let me go here. So I'm hearing myself. All right, let me go here. So I'm hearing myself. Okay, sorry everyone. Okay. Okay, everyone. Okay. Sorry, everyone. So I can, you can see me on your 60-inch TV. Everyone. So You you all are the best. I do appreciate you this time with you so much. I am going to jump off because I know I just promised an hour and I promise to follow up um, via email. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and I'll be in touch via email. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and I'll be in touch via email. Thank you so much.